And welcome back to the Great Sturdy Chronicles. Jump right back in, shall we? Where we last left off. Now then, Lord Fanseeks, how did the prosecution wish to proceed? This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. Oh. But what follows is so repugnant it's good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Fanseeks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument is a joke to which I can barely know how to respond. Let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garadeb household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garadeb's house to the scene is some, 15 yards. Let me see, 15 yards? That's around 14 meters. 14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, the fourth book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards, to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? Did the jackknife follow a near-identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. There's nothing I can say to that. Yeah, the hurdle of crossing the strait is a bit much to cross right now. That prosecutor loved the sound of his own voice. Mr. Zato, serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he? Maybe let's pick our battles here? My lord, might I be allowed to speak? As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead. The prosecution may consider the idea of fantasy. What the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garadeb, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination. Saints alive! Cross-examination of a juror? Or at least John. Order! 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 Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
Oh. And unnecessary. Lord Van Zeeks? Huh? There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. We must assume that they would be able to testify accordingly. What say you, witnesses? Yes, sir!
Constable Roly Beate, reporting for duty, sir.
Ah. Well. Good morning, officer.
Sorry for dozing until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir.
Oh, they are so heroic, these London bobbies.
Trisha, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more.
Oh, Roly, my hero, you make me swoon. Very well. I hereby reject the defense's request. Oh. And order the witnesses on the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events.
Yes, sir!
Let's see how well this goes. Or doesn't go. Constable Beate's report.
Okay, this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows of the top floor of the Garadeb house are top-hinged casements.
Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Roly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir.
Where is this gonna go? Well, that is quite startling. Top-hinged casement windows. That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. Ahem. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable.
No, sir.
Sorry, but... what exactly is a top-hinged casement window? And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Hey. Of course. Sorry. I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's room. Alright, I'll try. Ah, there it is. In my mind's eye. So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see. I'm glad you rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay, a middle bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. It prevents it opening? This is all news to me.
Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife would have been thrown through the open window, would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below.
No. You see the problem then? Good. Your education in windows is complete. There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane has been shattered. Something we've discounted already. That can't be! Slap. Did you see that, Roly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me. Oh, Roly, you're so strong. How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again. The court awaits your cross-examination. My lord. Oh good, another desperate situation. How could this get any worse? Constable Beate's report. Let's go.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain?
A very good question, sir. And the answer is this. And as the noble founding principles of the Force written on it as a reminder to us policemen of our sworn duty.
He showed us that before, didn't he? Did he? I can't say I remember.
Patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. That's what the job's all about. That is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you a Bobby's good for his word. Or rubbing my tired eyes, admittedly. Sir!
Oh, Roly, you're so manly.
Of course I am, my darling Patricia.
Oh, Pat. Oh, Roly. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb?
Oh, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir.
Yes, well, so could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, then.
Absolutely, sir. I will answer it to the fullest of my abilities, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's domestic dispute can't be related to this case.
Before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I just arrived here.
To that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. I must warn you, you'll be able to get through it without shedding a few tears.
Thank you. I'll try. Warrant card entered into the court record. Alright, the policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. Item number 2. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Jesus. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on this beat, a policeman must assist in initial investigations and help detectives. Interesting.
Hold it!
By which you mean that they don't open fully, is that correct?
Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see. So they're restricted as to how much they open.
And therefore anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where objects would have fallen. Yes. Directly opposite the scene of the crime. On the other side of the wide road. Would it have been so hard for someone to mention this top-hinged casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable.
What would that be, sir?
How do you even know? Or would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house is furnished with?
Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mrs. Beate? Sorry? You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Oh, I was just remembering. That's all. We really were. So lucky. Oh? Lucky? What do you mean? Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. You were just so lucky it didn't happen on Roly Beate. It was so close, you see. Oh, I hadn't realized. Oh yes, that street, Briar Road. That's the boundary between Roly Beate and the next one. Isn't that right, my love? Uh-oh, he's out. Constable Beate! Yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the applicants for the Garadeb household yesterday. It was on my beat, you see, sir. I really was cutting it close then. Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garadeb household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well? Outside Mr. Garadeb's house? Yes, ma'am. pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that. Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all. Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners. Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Roly for his hard work. Don't you think so, my darling? That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it. I think perhaps we should make sure we have that information officially on record. Yeah, it's an interesting bit of information. Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately. Ooh, case file's information has been updated in the court record. And now it's my turn, I think. Where's the case file? Here it is. 7. Pavement of Briar Road, East Side. Roly Beate. It didn't really change much.
Hold it!
I just want to see what else he had to say. You have something else to say, or... You helped? In what way? Various members of the public were questioned in order to gather information about the case.
That's right, sir. The sad truth is we're all overworked. Even though it wasn't under the jurisdiction of my own beat, we obviously wanted to help.
I see. Well, thank you. Oh, it's my turn now? Oh. I wonder if she has more to say there. Since in the past when we pursued someone and got what they had to give us, and we went through that statement again, they didn't give that audible reaction. So I wonder if there's... We'll come back to that, I guess, if we don't find another way to go about it. Anyway.
Hold it!
And according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already, and it was dark. Oh, but Roly and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star. Sorry? The star that will guide us to eternal happiness. Can't it guide you to answer the question? A flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us. It would have lit up like a shooting star. If I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Roly Beate inspect, I would have said. 3 times at least. Well, of course, what with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars. In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you? Objection, leading the witness.
Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir.
It certainly seems like they're telling the truth. Then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground. We ran straight over to help her.
Hold it!
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right? That's right, yes. If it had been on Roly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course. Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box and every beat. So Roly told me the way. Only, I sort of got a little lost on the way. Trisha, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me. Oh, Pat. Oh, Roly. Adorable. Oh, please. So I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But like I said, my Roly was at the scene the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed.
I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir.
Hold it!
Nothing to report. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. Swear to that on the odds honor, sir. Really? That seems a little strange. Beg your pardon, sir? Strange, sir? It seems altogether regular to me. This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrett household. The question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well? You know, if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As you can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries is how that knife ended up in her back and how that book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them. Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer, sir. Oh? Yeah, of course. What is it? You're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell. What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's she doing? Please, just because I'm a woman doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. You might just see me as though I'm a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am. Didn't we have this conversation in your last testimony? I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you. No excuses. I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you? Yes, Mrs. Beate, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one. That was a very loud mutter. I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife's word counts for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Roly won't. Duly noted, Mrs. Beate. Please, I humbly ask you to continue. What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder? What she said last time gave us a little lifeline. I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though. What?
Hold it!
Okay. Mrs. Beate, nobody is questioning what you've told us. I saw what I did. That evening I saw it clearly. The little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back slinking away from the scene. I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky. All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction. Oh, yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Roly. He gets ever so cross. Oh.
Excuse me.
Constable Beate, is there a problem? Eh? Uh-huh. No, sir. No problem, sir. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. You mean Mrs. Beate lost her way? On the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. She was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. Thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes. My darling was gone a good 15. Oh, Roly, you're such a tease. The reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly. The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about? Oh, it was a present for a wedding anniversary. Roly, so romantic. He saved up for it with farthings and happenings he found in the gutter while doing his rounds. Yes, how romantic. Forgotten all about it until just now. Had you, my darling? Ah! Ah, no, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about it to anyone else, darling. You have to promise... Really? Oh. What was that all about? Constable Beate looked very obviously troubled during that exchange. Afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm quite sure of one thing. You have to ask Mrs. Beate about the bouquet. Mrs. Beate, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please. Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to. We're frying on his, last nerve there. Okay, so that changes this testimony.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime? Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When I ran over, I saw it was a woman with a knife in her back. I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Roly gave me. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice at first. And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on. Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see? That's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up... it was nowhere near the victim's body at all. In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beate, the victim is not deceased. I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road. Your husband, presumably? That's right. Silly me, I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. Although I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. Can't think of how it got there. I really can't. So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite. Curious indeed. Isn't it? But the worst of it is, I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. The beautiful rose Roly brought me. With that change to the gutter he spent so long collecting. By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this solitary rose? Oh! Oh! Yes, that's it! That's the bouquet Roly bought for me on our anniversary, with old bits of change he found in the gutter. Maybe just call it a rose. Tell us, Lord Van Sings, where did you come by the flower? According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garadeb household. In front of the Garadeb's house? Now that's interesting. Although it wasn't noticed until this morning, as it lay with the street lamps cast no light. It's believed to be of no relevance to the case, since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Could I have it back now, please? No, I think for good measure, this rose should be added to the court record as evidence. I agree. Oh. The anniversary bouquet has been entered into the court record. But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back. Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Mrs. Beate. I'm not sure how to make use of this, but do you see what we're implying here? Can you examine this? I can examine this. Gamer keys? Gamer keys, yeah. It's very stylish paper the flower's wrapped in, isn't it? It's just an old newspaper. Mr. Naruhodo? Oh. I suppose it's because I'm not used to seeing English print. It looks so exotic to me. I see. Something wrong? Oh, no. I was just thinking that if you wrapped a stone-baked sweet potato in English newspaper, it might look like some sort of fancy cake. Ah, Suzato-san, you do love your cakes. An English rose. Such a beautiful flower. Ah, this is a rose, is it? I've never seen one before. Do you not take an interest in flowers, Mr. Naruhodo? I wouldn't say that exactly, but I do know 3 types at least. Gosh, 3? Yeah, plum blossom, peach blossom, and cherry blossom. But perhaps you should consider branching out, learning some that aren't fruit tree based, for example. Is there anything else to gain? Yes. Well.
Hold it!
See if anything changes here. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you make of all this? Yes. The whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling me all along. I believe I'm starting to get a picture of what really happened here now. The 4th book that had no business being at the scene of the crime made me sure that Mrs. Garuda was hiding something from us. It's becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding something from us as well. I think I may already be armed with everything I need to strike a decisive blow here. This time, it's going to expose the whole truth about this mysterious affair. Do we hit the rose here? Let's try it.
Objection!
There it goes. You claim, Constable Beate, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be. What do you mean to say? In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beate, you explained to the court. When you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. Considering the size of that meager bouquet, a single sorry bloom can be so described. No doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beate not testify to the fact? No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beate swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged to me, and it has nothing to do with the case. That's why Roly didn't mention it, I'm sure. No, Because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beate's bouquet, there's Mr. Garadeb's book. Mr. Garadeb's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beate's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road, in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them. What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Roly's done something wrong.
Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says?
Would have gone about books and bouquets. Why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is. Oh good, Mrs. Garadeb's come round. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garadeb, but deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, tampering, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, The person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it, for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering. You've barely heard the term before. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had the cause to carry out such an elaborate deception? Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person. Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. You might have gotten that impression upon hearing about how the line of a particular person's beat runs directly through Briar Street. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime?
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Roly Beate, it was you! What? A policeman? Member of Scotland Yard? What nonsense! Why would my Roly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London. Mrs. Beate, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it. You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? But it was him. He did it.
Objection!
That was true. Constable Beate would have seen him do it. Oh. Forgive me for pointing it out. When you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beate, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Oh, well.
Objection!
First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing. Proof. You claim the crime scene was tampered with. But there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime. To hide something. That's right. He's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there. That's all. So why would we have any reason, anything to hide? Doesn't make sense. You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering. And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats. Constable Beate had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair. Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery? Yeah, pretty much. Also, you made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering.
Yes, my lord.
Constable Beate's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the victim fell. Where the victim fell to the ground. That's what this Bobby had to cover up, at all costs.
What?
Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road. We saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone already didn't know. That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all. What? What? I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening? Well, if you're asking me an obvious question, I'm going to give you an obvious answer, Gamer Keys. What's the percent button?
Take that!
But that's on the opposite side of the road. I don't understand. On the evening in question, Mr. Garrett's book fell directly down from that open window above. And your bouquet, Mrs. Beate, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself. Good gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place. That's right, I saw it, with my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid. That was actually on the west side of Briar Road. No, that's not true. It can't have been. Constable Beate then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. Moved all the things shown in this print, the victim herself, the 4 books. Moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road. Extraordinary. The constable overlooked one thing. What? What did he overlook? The bouquet, I presume. Exactly. The prosecution told the court just a few moments ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. Yes, it could be seen in the dark, obviously. Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what actually happened that evening. How do you respond, Constable Roly Beate? Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important? Oh, Roly. Isn't true, is it? What the lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know. And he's off again. I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything came out. Everything exposed. Only, it seems, it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly! Order! What on earth is the meaning of all this? Oh, Roly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it? Wishing the victim dead should be one, too. Then, Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town. I can't say, sir.
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. Damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. I have a possible explanation. For why, on that particular evening, Constable Beate felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason. What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet Lord Van Zieks is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Now then, I think you had better show us some evidence.
At once, my lord.
England, Japan. Makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions. What gives away the motive for Constable Beate's unthinkable actions? It's the beat. And the beat goes on, yeah. The beat goes on, yeah. The beat goes on.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land. I've only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example. Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly. But for Constable Beate, the day in question was special. Special? How? On account of this bouquet, my lord. Oh yes. It was our very first wedding anniversary. Constable Beate had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife. I was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal. When he and Mrs. Beate stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. And he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them. It must have gone through the man's mind. But just that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beate puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. Wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh no, this is sad. It's bad, but it's sad. This is the warrant card that Constable Beate offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, the policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Aha! Constable Beate. Is that, or is that not, the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's all right. So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat. Oh! Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beate's beat. Good gracious. Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done? It was the first time since I became a copper. I'd ever cursed God. Take those to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. I got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying. That meant for me. When a crime was discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why? Oh. It's a Carver's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. She has to go to the police box that covers it, turn right along Mearsham Street, and then... Oh, I'm... Ah! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, Constable. I just wanted... Just that one night. Take my Patricia out for dinner. Oh, Roly. Just that one night. You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care. You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, of course he did. Otherwise my Roly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement. Ah, I see your meaning now. But God got me back from my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat. Oh no, Roly! It was all my fault! I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Roly. Oh. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from the one side of the road to the other in total? Hmm? Oh, 4 it was. Yes, sir. Definitely. 4. 3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garrett household, of course. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? And all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh, well, sir. That's because that's how I found it. How you found it? What do you mean? When he first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh, yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it, I thought. Couldn't see the harm, really. Didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jolt of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it. My lord. Yes, Lord Van Zieks. I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Roly? What will happen to him? For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course. Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. Because I'm always moaning about him for coming home late. Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired. All right then, my love. One last thing, Constable. Sir? That's a new face. Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you. Yes, sir. Carve that lesson into your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime. Sir? Never again, sir? You mean to say? Leave. Now. This trial is not yet over. Oh.
Sir!
Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. You can't even be mad. It's less a cop-police thing and more of a... He's just fucking overworked. 20 miles a day. All hours. He knows he did something really fucking bad, but his mind is just desperate for the night to not be ruined. Can you really be mad at him for that? No. I can't. It's sad. Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Who thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that? Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here, principally. That the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime.
Objection!
No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. And the person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back. Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already. And yeah, considering you wanted to throw our theory out because of the whole flaming book flying yards over the street. Well, now we prove that flaming book just had to fall down. This is literally a tick in our favor. Lord Van Seeks, is that true? You're trying to... Very well. You're trying to close this case off like a sneaky bugger. Name the person if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing. Ah, okay. He tried to get a sneaky win out of it, but it's still amenable to us. But we are gonna get what we wanted out of this, aren't we? Where are you? Where are you, Joan? There you are.
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord. Once again? My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It's imperative they cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garadeb. Me? Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied. Well, the facts of the case have changed, dude.
Objection!
The situation is very different now. Mrs. Garadeb, answer me this. What do you want now, you little toad? At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garadeb. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road. Well, what of it? You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open-topped hinge... of the open top-hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident. Yes, as I said, what of it? During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garradeb. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before? Ah. I don't recall it. Seriously? Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? Let's call John Garradeb and see if he recognizes it. But anyway, the man over there and all that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he? Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. Juror number 4. No! Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a common garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know? Oh. What's that? Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Mrs. Garradeb. Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Because it was my husband. Oh, the poor woman. So yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? If I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror. Oh. The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. I'm going to have to testify. Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware. Oh, dearie me. So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garradeb. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I was hoping for, my lord. Well. New camera angle? This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey. I'm a lawyer. Witness, state your name and occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garradeb. And I'm, I'm a juror, and such like. It sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid, or what anymore. The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam? Yes, my lord. You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh, dearie me. Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. Hi, John. Oh, I didn't know you were here, John. Oh. Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? I think I ought to testify as well, don't you? Oh. First time she's actually shown any actual affection for her husband. But what about your knee, dear?
Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone.
Oh, John. Presume you're Mr. John Garrett,
Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were.
Quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question?
Ah, well, yes, quite.
I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You have recounted clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question.
Sir, at once.
Alright. Finally, the Battle of Garateb. I love that name. It's true, honestly. On that note, this has to be the late stages of this case. So, we'll leave this for next time. Until then. This has been a really fun case, not gonna lie. Stands out for not being... not being a murder case. And not really having a villain, so to speak. Say, not everything is hateful. Not everything is hateful crimes of anger and rage and murder. Sometimes things just go wrong. This feels like circumstances be damned. This feels like a very real case, so to speak. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, until then, thanks for watching.